We're going live. Welcome back to Cousins Corner. We skipped a month or two, but we're back. This is the Cousins Corner with AJ, G.L. Burns, and Curtis. We are the Cousins. Cousins, we'll be just covering a lot of topics like faith, wide range of topics from social events, politics, and faith. Anything that we can get our hands on and talk about, that's what the Cousins are going to talk about. We want to welcome you all back. Curtis is trying to get it together so we can do this on a regular basis, get the topics together. So we want to welcome everybody back to the Cousins Corner. This week on Cousins Corner, we're going to talk about the Ahmaud, make sure I pronounce it right, Arbery. The verdict. Are the sentences passed down enough, and is it sending a clear enough message? Cousin AJ, what do you think?
You mean the verdict passed down?
Verdict, or the
verdicts haven't taken place yet.
Yes, ma'am.
I think so. I think it's a clear message, especially being where it's located in the South, that it's not okay to shoot down our Black brothers, kids, and fathers and uncles, and say, you're standing your ground. There was so much that came out of that case. I was standing on pins and needles, waiting for the verdict. It was very emotional for me because I have a Black son, probably the same age as Ahmaud Arbery, but it was very emotional for me waiting the jury verdict. And it was very intense during the deliberation time. I could not fathom the verdict being anything other than guilty for all three men. My mind couldn't even, I wasn't able to go there. So it was a sigh of relief when the verdict was announced.
Cousin Jeff, what's your thoughts?
Well, I knew that would be the verdict. They know that if they would have had any other verdict, that whole town would have got destroyed, and many towns would have got destroyed, because clear as day, they lynched the man and killed him. You understand? You know, it was clear as day. You know, you want to justify saying he stole something or he was stealing. You know, anybody would have walked into a open construction site just to be curious about how they building a house. I walk in, if I was jogging past and it's open like that, I would have walked in and looked too.
I do all the time.
So the man didn't commit no crime. He was running. They chased him, and we all knew it. And there was no other verdict that could have been given for that. You know, but all hell would have broke loose if they would. Unlike Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse killed 3 white men. I mean, 2 white men and wounded 1, even though they were Jews. You know, they were white skinned. We wasn't going to have it with this verdict. We was not going to have it.
Well, you know, on the Rittenhouse case, the fact that, you know, these white brothers were marching on behalf of what happened to a Black man, Rittenhouse should have served time, but it just goes to show you, it just reminded me that how little our lives matter, because even the white people that fight for justice on our behalf, their lives have very little value. And Rittenhouse walk. So the cases are similar but different in so many ways. They had the videotape showing Ahmaud going into the house but not coming out with anything. So the fact that they chased him down and then was dumb enough, but in our case, smart enough or arrogant enough, I should say, to videotape it.
Right, for their buddies.
that was the funny part. Their own videotape hung
Is
them.
what, yeah.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
arrogance.
Yes.
That's where we are. That's where we are, to where they feel like they can video it, show it to their friends and laugh about it and get away with it, thinking that they're filming something for evidence to support their case. You see somebody running in the neighborhood, somebody of color, he must have done something wrong.
And get in your car and chase them.
Because
Get in.
only white folks legitimately work out. Black
Yeah.
folks don't work out. You know,
Right.
we're not into health consciousness. You know,
And they're not law enforcement. So what I want to go back and do, take a step back. I want to read some of the stuff that they received as far as the convictions. The Travis McMichael, malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit felony. Travis, he must have been the guy who pulled the trigger. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, we were saying, yeah, he
You're right.
was.
Only one of them got convicted of malice murder.
Right. So
Yeah.
Greg McMichael,
The son.
the son.
Right.
Greg McMichael, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit a felony. And the same thing, and William Bryan, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit felony. To commit a felony.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
That's stiff enough. So they haven't passed down the sentencing as of yet, right?
Right.
They just been convicted.
Well, in
Does
the state of Georgia says that if you're convicted of felony murder, then the minimum charge is life imprisonment. But it's the judge's discretion to give them life without or with the possibility of parole.
And now that malice murder, does that come with a possibility of a death sentence?
I don't think that's on the table.
No, they didn't even go for the death penalty.
Yeah, that's not on the table.
On purpose. You know.
So yeah, it's either life in prison without parole or life with the possibility of parole.
The son is going to get life without parole because of the malice murder charge.
Because of the malice murder charge, exactly.
Yeah. The other ones are going to probably get 20 to 30 years with parole.
30 years with the possibility of parole.
Yeah.
And they're older. They're older. They won't survive. That's life.
They're not. That's life.
That's life for them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, it's 10 to 30 years. Is that not correct?
My understanding was 30 years minimum.
Well, if it was manslaughter, it would have been 10 to 30. But kidnapping will get you 15 automatically.
Right.
So they the least they're going to do is 15. But that murder charge, I think the minimum is 20 for that murder charge.
Yeah. Well, they'll be there for a while, and that's not the federal charges. They still have to go to meet the federal charges, I think, next month.
Really?
So they're not done. They're not done because they violated his civil rights.
They sure did.
I hope this sends a strong message.
They're trying to try Rittenhouse federally now. They're trying to get a petition together to try to charge him federally for civil rights violation.
Mm.
And I'm hoping that the DOJ will go ahead and do it.
I hope so too. Yeah, so it's not over. It's a lot. I mean, there's so many lives ruined just because you, it's just sad. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. This woman lost her son. And, not that I care, but, the trigger man, his mother, she lost her son and her husband. You know, I mean, there's so many lives affected by just pure hatred and just racism. It's just,
Well, they lost her son a different way, though. So,
well, yeah, of course.
you know,
She lost her son by breeding that mess. They birthed it. They
Erase
pulled
it.
the mess.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's why it was nothing for him to pull the trigger when on an unarmed black man. It meant nothing to him to pull that trigger. He was anxious to pull that trigger.
very anxious.
Because I've been in a situation as an officer with a gun and could have blew away somebody's son that tried to blow me away, and I didn't pull the trigger. You understand?
Oh, yes.
So because I thought about the person I was about to kill.
Yeah, somebody's
even though I was
child.
justified.
Yeah, somebody's child.
That
But I'm
was
glad
my-
the verdict, I'm glad the verdict could not have gone any other way. It could not have gone any other way, especially after Rittenhouse. It would have destroyed cities, towns. It would have been, it just would not, it would have been a mess. It would have been a mess.
So much destruction would have came from that. And
Exactly.
they had to make sure them folks went down. Trust me. Especially after Rittenhouse.
So did you see how the jury was comprised?
Yeah. And you know, that's another thing too. That goes back to my thing. I always harp on, because we have every excuse not to serve on the jury duty. But you know, this particular jury had it right. 11 white folk and 1 black person. That's just not a representation of a jury of your peers.
No, that is not.
You know, I think that if Rittenhouse was comprised differently, it would have been a different verdict also.
Well, what I think is,
I think it would have been a hung jury.
Yeah, what I think is great is sticking to the Arbery is that it was a majority white jury with a conviction, with a verdict, what they came up with the verdicts of. So I think that sends a very clear message that, you know, it's not just people being controlled by, you know, the color of their skin and what they're seeing the color of the victim.
Well, you know what, too, because these people are, I don't know how old they are, but I would imagine that most of them are probably anywhere from 20 to 40, 50. And they probably have Black grandkids, Black kids, because it's the old school, old white folk. Until they die off, then this racism is not going to get any better. So,
how can they die off when they're breeding the next generation? That Arbery's father.
But they're breeding. They're probably more biracial kids now than ever. There's this melting pot. So, and for whatever reason, whether you are dating a Black man or Black woman because you're being rebellious, or whatever the reason, is what it is. It's a melting pot. I mean, look at Curtis.
Very interesting.
Hey Curtis, you could Blasian, man?
What?
You could Blasian?
You know, I'm sure we're still trying to discover exactly what I am. I'm one of the cousins.
That's right. Now that we know.
I know some of AJ's background, cousin AJ's background, and you know, it's just, you know, I just got more of it. That's it. Same tribes. We come from the same tribes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Thank God. I'm glad we got the verdict.
So where do you think the United States or the United States government, the judicial system, where do we go from here? How do we go back and try to bring justice for those things of the past? Do we move forward? Do we march? How do we celebrate this? Is it we as, I know it's different cultures, but we as our people, you know, are Blackish, we like to have conversations, but what actions and how do we how do I say, how do we lubricate more actions from other people to get more justice as this?
I think this sparked, I think this, especially the Rittenhouse, I think this sparked a lot of, I think this fueled a fire for a lot of people, especially in the Rittenhouse case. And I think that it gave a sense of relief and belief in the judicial system with the Arbery case. I think that one of the things that they have to do, and if they haven't done it already, was to remove that law of stand your ground, which was created in the 1600s for runaway slaves. And when you correlate that with this man actually running and jogging in his own neighborhood as possibly a runaway slave, it just makes me sick. So I think that coming off the books is a start. Well, because there are a lot of states that have these stand your ground laws. When I looked it up, there are quite a few, more than I thought, stand your ground laws.
Right.
And that's a scary thought.
Well, as a gun carrier, NRA, Georgia Carry type guy, former military police investigator, I kind of like to stand your ground. I just don't think people of color take advantage of it as much as they could take advantage of that. Because there's several times, if we weren't so afraid of guns, you know, we're afraid of guns, we're afraid of police officers, what makes us afraid of guns. And if we would stand our ground more often, we have to stand our ground less.
Well, it originally was supposed to stand your ground to protect your home.
Okay.
And now it's out in the streets. So you said you like that, but too many people maybe have misconstrued it. The fact that these three people thought that they had a really, really strong legal defense to hold this kid tells me right there, and then shoot him dead, and then there'd be an actual trial, and they weren't arrested right away.
Right.
That there is some obvious misunderstanding on what that law means and how it's supposed to be applied.
So how many times have people been attacked out in the street and had no weapon to defend themselves, and they were snatched up and beat up or found dead? And if they had a weapon standing their ground, they could have shot, fought, and been alive to fight another day.
What's messed up is that law is there, but if we as Black people, every time we use that law for our defense, we lose. Like that woman in Florida who shot past her husband into the wall to protect herself, and they put her in jail.
And she's still there?
No,
she's
no.
Still there?
No, they had let her out. As far as I know, she's out now.
Oh, so she didn't shoot her husband, she shot past him?
She shot in the air.
Past him as a warning shot.
That's different. So you're shooting inside of an apartment, you're firing a weapon in a residential area. Now, if she had shot the guy, that's one thing. But firing a warning shot is not standing your ground.
No, she was scared and trying to get him to leave.
She should have shot him.
Well, so it could have only been one story, right?
She's been off shooting him.
She should have shot him. If she was really that terrified to squeeze that trigger, she should have been terrified enough to feel like her life was really in danger to actually shoot the guy. But if you shoot by him, past him, or whatever, just want to scare him, or how much danger are you really in? And I really can't say that.
I was in a situation as an officer, and I should have shot him, everybody said, but I did not want to kill the man.
But your
I
rights
did
as
not want to kill him.
But your rights as an officer is a little different than a law-abiding citizen who's trying to save their own life. So if you're trying to save your life and somebody's attacking you, you shoot them.
But then you look at that, how uneven, how lopsided that is. If she shot past him in the air or whatever and went to jail, and then you got a white man that actually shot two people, killed them,
Well, when you shoot somebody, when you shoot in the air, you know where that bullet's going to land inside that person. All right. You shoot in the air, that bullet's going to come down someplace. You shoot through a wall, it's going to stop someplace else. Somebody innocent can be hit. But when you shoot somebody, you know where the bullet's going.
I understand why she didn't shoot. After all, it still was her husband. It was the father of her kids.
I understand. But you don't
Okay.
have to shoot to kill. Nobody said
And-
when you shoot somebody, you have to kill them.
And my thing is this. I'm just looking at the injustice. They gave her like 20 years originally for that. And then the white man, Rittenhouse, can kill 2 people because he felt he was in danger. And
Well-
they were unarmed. He could blow them away and get away with it. You know?
Well, the good thing about the Arbery case is they're not getting away with what they did to a person of color, a black man, a young black man.
Exactly,
Mhm.
So they're being convicted. The
exactly.
lady who got put in jail for firing a weapon in the air, in the wall, or wherever it was, there was a chance of her hitting somebody else. You know, I know that's the father of her kids, but was he thinking about that was the mother of his kids when he was doing whatever he was doing?
Well, that part is not what I was really, pinpointing. I'm pinpointing how justice did her. And, how it does differently for us than, the white people. Now,
And that's what we have to understand, and unfortunately, at this point in our lives, live with, and our young people have to understand that you're not going to have the same justice, judicial right, or well, you have the same right, but you're not going to have the same outcome being a person of color than your white counterparts. It's just not going to happen.
I think
It's
it's
just-
turning around. I think with this verdict like this, I think it's turning around.
no, that's just this
Turning
verdict.
around. I think that
Keep living.
yeah.
You-
I don't think it's
brother,
turning around. I think we got another. I think we got one. We got another one. We got one. But there's too many other cases where we didn't get or haven't gotten or and won't get our due just. But this one being such a high profile case, they got this one right. They got it right.
Right. I think with the verdicts is sending a clear message saying it's okay to convict. I think there will be more convictions because of this verdict here.
because we're living in that time where you are going to see more convictions, but that's because it's politically advantageous to the Democratic Party. It's advantageous right now to jump on that bandwagon.
So you think this is
So
a political decision?
how did this benefit the Democratic Party? I'm
Right.
confused on that one.
Well, when I say that, if you notice, it's the Democratic Party that's going all in for Black people and their rights and let them out of jail and no bail.
You're supposed to.
Stop the bail and stop hurting them on Rikers Island. And, so the powers that be right now are riding that ticket, just like Biden. Biden was a very prejudiced man when he was younger in politics. And he was the cause for a lot of Black men going to jail. And then now all of a sudden, here we have a Biden now that's fighting for our rights. That's fighting for Black people.
That always
Bothers us when you say Biden in his past.
well, that's when they say that Kamala and Biden or Hillary and
Right.
whatever is the cause of so many Black people going to jail. They're the cause of their own selves going to jail. There's a lot of people that are wrongly convicted. I'm not talking about those, but we cannot go out and commit crimes and then expect the politicians or the people to let them go easily, or the sentence are commuted or whatever. I'm not talking about the ones that are innocent. I know there are a lot of innocent.
No. I'm talking about the laws.
You cannot say that he was a prejudiced man because some of the laws were changed to protect the public when the people committed the crimes anyway.
No, hear me out. People got 15 years for weed that they're now legalizing. They put these drug things in motion, and it was us that were going to get caught up in that. They brought the drugs here into the United States. It was the government that did all that mess, put it in our communities, knowing we were going to sell it and use it, and then made these drug laws so hard.
But what did Biden do? What did he actually?
Biden was part of that. If you study the history of his political career, he was one of the main ones that was putting those drug laws, voting for those drug laws to be so harsh. And it was our people that were getting incarcerated at a high rate, because you understand something.
Because it was our people that were committing those crimes.
Hear me out.
But I think
Hear me out. Our people did not sniff cocaine, white powder cocaine, because we couldn't afford it. But we smoked crack because we could afford it. So for the crack epidemic, they were putting them all in jail, herding them up in jail. But the white folks that were sniffing coke, the drug laws were different if you got caught with coke as opposed to crack. And that's how it was racially divided, because we poorer folks could only afford crack.
Well, from my understanding,
hear me out. For 10 crack valves, if you got caught with 10 crack valves back in the 80s, right? You went to jail for 10 years.
Right, and then they changed the differentiate between crack and coke. But I think that I don't know what that has to do with the Ahmaud Arbery case and where we are in this case on this.
I think you're trying to correlate it to the bandwagon.
I was showing that the political people now, it's politically advantageous now to fight for getting us out of jail because we were wrongly convicted or given too much time, to not put such harsh bail on us that we can't afford to get out, letting all these people out of the prisons now, right? And now convicting these white folks for lynching, is politically advantageous now. Jump on that bandwagon and you're going to get elected. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to stay in office because that's the season we're in right now. When it's politically advantageous to do something else. See, Trump went wrong by backing the Proud Boys and backing the police killing us, is why we voted his butt out of office.
No,
but had he jumped on the black bandwagon,
no,
still been in office.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think that's a whole nother subject. But I think that unfortunately, there are a lot of Trumpsters still out there. I think the only difference is more people came out and voted. But if you look at how many people voted for Trump, it's a pretty scary number. It's a pretty scary number to know that many people are that racist.
Right, almost straight down the line. Almost straight down the line. Almost.
Exactly. I mean, so Biden pulled it out, but that's because we went out there and we just marched and cried and begged and picked people up and taken them to the polls, and more people voted that probably never voted before in their lives.
Why did we vote for Biden? Because we felt like he would help us.
We gotta stay on track.
Right.
I don't know. I think that with this case, it could go either way. It could go either way. It could go politically, whatever the bandwagon is that is. If these three men were not convicted, it's a whole nother political party that would agree with that. So I just think that there's a moral compass. Fortunately, they had it.
Right.
Consciously, they knew that they were guilty, and they did the right thing. They did their work. They did the right thing.
Right. They picked the right court.
To do with it.
Right. They picked the right court, the right jurors, and I think the tide is actually turning to where there's going to be more. There's going to be a lot more fair in court for all people.
Well, I hope so.
No matter what the jury looks like.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, will it be? I mean, how much of an influence did the Black juror have on the jury? I would love to know that. We're talking about the Deep South, Georgia.
There
We're
was
talking
one.
about exactly.
There was only
That's
one
what I
Black
said.
person.
How much did the one? That's what I just said. How much did the one juror have? What influence did he have on the whole jury?
She.
How much
So,
of an influence?
Right. So that's where I'm coming in and saying, with all the white people that were on the jury, the 11, all the white people that was on the jury, right? Those white people still convicted. They said it was okay at this day and time to say my white counterpart is guilty of this, and we see it. Instead of them saying, okay, because he's white, I don't care what it was. I don't care if I stood there and watched him get murdered. Not guilty. But they know now that is not the thing to do anymore. I think the tide is turning to where they're saying, and I think there's going to be less crimes against Black people because of seeing a conviction like this, seeing more convictions, for Black people's justice. I think there's going to be less crimes committed, because I think people who are not people of color are going to be they're going to think twice before committing a crime, because there is a chance that they can be convicted of that crime.
Well,
I agree with that. Once they see there's consequences, they're definitely going to think about, what they're doing. Before there was no consequences, so they just did what they wanted to do.
There you go.
So I agree with that.
Took pictures.
That's definitely.
They're the old Georgia South, where they took pictures and they thought it was funny. They thought they would get away with it. Don't matter what we do.
Not pictures, video.
Get away.
Yeah.
But that 2020 vision is still strong in 2021. Everybody's seeing what's going on, and it's like, wait, we just can't. Not anymore. The tide has turned, I believe. I think that's the direction that we're heading in.
I hope so. I really do.
They're going to have to find a better way to lynch us.
Exactly. So true.
A quieter way.
A quieter way. And as we grow,
I hope that's true.
And as we grow into business, we're climbing a ladder in business. It's not getting as easy as to see a name on an application and say, this person's not getting hired because of the name on the application.
We got a long way to go. But we got to start somewhere.
And I think it starts with us supporting each other, no matter what I look like. No matter what you think I look like.
You lucky. Right now, you kind of look like a little Asian. Yeah, you lucky. You passing.
Somebody yesterday, somebody said I must be Puerto Rican. So,
Asian.
So I was standing by another Puerto Rican. Listen, I'm half Liberian, half Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Cousin Jeff, what'd you think? Remember, we came from the same tribe now.
That you Asian?
We came from the same tribe. Remember that? Asian.
Blasian.
Ask around, they'll tell you what.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woo.
Tiger Woo.
Wow.
I can see that.
Very interesting.
What you need to do is get you a golf club, man.
I'm sorry, say it again.
What you need to do is get you a golf club.
I got my clubs right there.
That's what I'm saying.
They're not that far away.
They're gonna be scared of you on the green.
No, I'm not that good. Not that good at all. When I get one good one, I get a good one.
What did you guys think about the comment made about the Black preachers coming into the courtroom?
I thought that was one of the biggest racial comments you could make, but the audacity for them to do that. But I can understand the fear they had, because you got to remember, first of all, the preachers that were coming in were Black men. Okay, yeah. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and the fear of the Black man in all areas, and then now you got all these Black men coming in with notoriety, of course, they felt like that was going to sway the jury because the white folks were going to be intimidated by the support of the Black community and the Black preachers, the Black men.
You know, it's funny because they weren't, in addition to, a family member had to give up the seat. They only had so many seats available for the family members. So a family member had to give up their seat for one of the preachers to come in and sit and hold her hand, which I thought was a great gesture. But they were definitely intimidated by that fact. But to bring it out, I was like, boy, these white people are really something else.
Did you see?
Did you see Jesse Jackson? Now, Al Sharpton went, and then the statement was made. So Jesse made sure he got over there after the statement.
Yeah, they weren't gonna stop. They weren't gonna stop. I don't blame them. You know, the as I say, the caucasity of that statement was just like, wow. Right. It to me, it was really a joke in some parts. I think where the defense, the prosecutor, or the defense rather, the defense lost a lot of points when she pointed out that this young man was jogging with no socks.
Talking about his feet.
With his dirty feet.
Long, dirty toenails. Like,
right.
Where did that even come from?
Right. Trying to paint a picture, like how they used to paint a picture of this person being uncivilized.
Unclean. Not clean. But
she was trying to dehumanize her and make her more of an animal.
Yeah.
Than a human
being. They didn't
being.
see him as a human.
Yeah, but did she see his toenails? I doubt it. You know, did she know what he had, if his socks covered his toes or not? I doubt it. It just, it just sickened me that the night before, or whenever she prepared for this case, that she really thought that was a good argument. And that nobody said, you know what, you might not want to use that part.
Right.
And they were okay, and they validated her argument, because I'm sure she ran it by whomever, partners or whatever. And somebody. that was okay to try to use that to dehumanize this man. It was sickening to me.
And the tide is turning, so now we talk about stuff like that. Now that's part of everyday conversation where people are mentioning what she said. And that's going to make it not okay to try to bring that type of mess up in a court system, in a courtroom.
Yeah, and not being okay to the point where you want to take a sensitivity class or you feel compelled to apologize. No, because that gets old also. I mean, that whole, as a mother, my heart just sank for his mother, and at that time, I don't know why, that really, really, really got me. My son is dead, and you're talking about, and he was killed, and you're talking about he had long, dirty toenails.
And what's interesting is she's an attorney, right?
Supposed to be.
She has other cases, and how many of those people she's saying she's defending are people of color.
Yeah.
And now you walk into her office after seeing that. Is she trying to help you or not?
Well, I would imagine that she probably more than likely has no Black clients. So she's not a public defender. I'm sure she was bought and paid for. So, the two, I'm sure they were property owners, and I'm sure they put up some money for that defense. So she's not a public defender, and hopefully she never was. So it was sickening.
Well, what you're forgetting is they had a very hard case. The defense had a hard case, and by any means necessary, they were trying to win. So she's going to use everything
but that
she could use. They didn't have much to use.
She didn't have much to use. She could have just said nothing, would have been better than trying to do that. Because I think that, and I would love to hear this jury interviewed later. I think that that was really grasping for straws, and they knew that. That's really grasping for straws.
Yes, that was grasping for straws.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
because they had.
that was a desperate situation.
Yeah.
So she's going to use that.
It's crazy, sickening. Sickening. They tried everything they could. They tried the black preachers, the toenails, it just was sickening. Him running and they self-defense and they, how you gonna, if you believe that your life is in danger, then leave him alone. Let him go.
Yeah.
How is it self-defense and you trying to hold him?
It's 3 of y'all, 1 of him, and he's unarmed.
Yeah, and you got a gun and it's self-defense. It's just
You got a gun and you got vehicles. You know, he on foot.
yeah. I
And
mean,
Let the man go. Let him run.
let him go. Come
On
on.
CNN.com, it shows a picture of 3 of the jurors
Okay.
and how they look.
Oh, really? How old?
50s, 60s, 50s, easy. He's, you
Yeah.
can't tell with them. So one, she might
Like
be 40. She might be
Probably
40.
a 20-year-old. Yeah.
They look 50, huh?
Yeah, they don't age very well.
And they
A
show
lot of
one. We call people sisters, and I've discovered being over somebody's house and two people being Puerto Rican over there, and if I wouldn't have known they were Puerto Rican, I'd have called them brother and sister. What's up, family? But me knowing that, and then being someplace where I see, I was over, they were all Liberian. And just looking, I'm like, now, if people weren't talking, we wouldn't know. We really wouldn't know what people really are. So I say that to say, looking at this picture of his sister here as a juror, I really don't know what nationality she is.
But you know what she's not.
Yeah, I know what she's not. As far as with her face, I don't know how she feels in her heart. She might have been on who said not guilty.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think that a lot of these people in that age group, they have kids that are biracial. At this point, it's hard to, you either got a niece, grandchild, or, the way it's going right now. You got somebody in your family that you can relate to with this.
Yeah, I think these people, a lot of these jurors, they weren't all white. I think they called them white. But looking at this picture, I don't think that guy's white. I don't think he's completely white. They may call him white. He may try to put white.
Well, they're not black. They consider them white. So.
And that's another thing.
Yeah.
And her last name ends in SKI, and his last name ends in ILLO. So, but like you said, if you're not black.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, this one can go down as we got one. Thank God. Thank God for the jurors, and bless the Aubrey family and that mother, father. And
I would like to say this though. The difference between Rittenhouse and Arbery's, I mean the ones who murdered Arbery's. If you look at the ones who murdered Arbery's, don't they look like some backwoods hillbillies?
corn-fed.
Poor white trash.
Corn-fed.
Do you see what I'm saying? And Rittenhouse, the little guy was dressed up and looking like the poster boy for the white supremacists. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if he wasn't, he will be. They will. Yeah. He will be. I wouldn't be surprised if they have not already created a poster for him represent the Trump. Absolutely.
So that might have played a part too. That these backwoods, poor white trash did what they're doing, and most of the time the lynching were done by poor white trash. You understand what I'm saying? Through
Yeah.
history, it was the poor whites that were more jealous of blacks. You know, look at Rosewood. Those blacks there were prominent blacks. They had businesses. They were productive. They had a little money. And the poor white trash came in there and
burnt
burned
it
them all out and hung them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I really believe the jury saw those guys as poor white trash too.
Interesting.
Had they been from a upper echelon, it might have, things might have went a little different too.
Well, I mean, if you look at the neighborhood was not a poor neighborhood. It was a nice suburban area. So, I don't know. I'm just grateful and thankful for justice.
Yes.
So I don't know what they
Justice was
looked at.
served.
I really would like to know what they looked at, though. I really would.
Justice was served.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you, cousins, for hopping on again tonight.
Yes.
All right.
We're going
Yes,
to keep this schedule going. We're going to get this calendar together.
What's happening next
I had a
week?
good talking to by cousin AJ about, me and have my
She
stuff
put you in your
together
place. She straightened you out.
again. Like every conversation. One day we're going to have a regular conversation.
Not true. Not true.
But
Not true.
I want to thank you, cousins, for hopping
Some
on
suggestions.
tonight.
What's happening for next week? What's the topic?
We're going to come. I think we're supposed to be talking about what other current event that's going on. What's hot topic is going to be going on this week. It's not going to be space. It's not going to be solar system.
Oh man,
It's going to be.
Cousin Jeffrey, he was hoping it was space, aliens, abductions.
Yeah. I was dying to talk about Mars, man.
We're trying to talk about Mars, huh? About the red moon the blood moon we just had a couple of weeks ago. Huh? Dying to talk about that. But we'll have another topic. We're going to have another topic going on. I do want to talk about some of the past cases. How they didn't think who was that the man who was murdered strangled by the cop. People out there thinking that he's still alive. I seen one guy saying that was a fake murder and he saw that guy alive. And it was
Not
all-
familiar with that one. Okay.
and
Not
which
familiar.
is how they find these people to say this stuff and get it on tape and put it on the news. It's incredible to me.
All right.
George Floyd. There was another
That case.
a black guy who said that George Floyd was actually alive.
Anything to get attention.
Well, they do say we all look alike.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
true. So true. Well, cousins, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Cousins Corner. We got a new link. Same time. I'm going to get this link out to everybody. We want to come back and join us the same time every Monday that we're available and able and have topics.
That's every day.
The Cousins Corner, every day, we do have topics every day.
Thank you, cousin. Get some sun, okay?
Cousins Corner with AJ, J.O. Burns, and Curtis. We want to thank you all for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you back next week. Thank you very much, everybody.